very valuable.
Adapt relentlessly and reinvent yourself.
The world changes at a very rapid rate. And so a lot of problems that people have that they come to me is, I got into this career. They're older people, and it was really great. I mean, you don't know how many people here in Los Angeles in the film business had a little niche job that was really comfortable, making a lot of money. And suddenly streaming came on, they lost it. Suddenly AI come on, they lost it. Horrible. It's a horrifying experience. And so this world is ruthless like that. The pace of change has never been like this in the history of humanity. You can't let yourself get trapped in a career that's going to be like that, right? You have to be flexible. The goal in this world now, in this economy, is having a variety of skills, not like all over the map, but within a certain framework. You've learned 4 different ways you can go. And then when that change happens, you're able to adapt. But you always have to keep in the back of your mind that this whole thing could blow up. You're relying on social media, your TikTok could be gone tomorrow. Suddenly, the social media world is completely different. Well, I'm not saying it's going to happen, but you have to be aware that this could happen. Mm-hmm. Where would I go from there? You have to be fluid in life. You can't be stuck and think, this is what I'm going to be doing for the rest of our life, because the world doesn't operate that way. I know writing books, when I began in the late 90s, there was no internet really for books. It was all mainstream media, magazines, newspapers. It was hell. I hated it. Then the internet started coming about. And when I did the book with 50 Cent, suddenly you had to kind of market yourself on the internet. Then that completely changed by the time my next book, each time my book comes out, the landscape is completely different. Nothing is the same, and I can't rely on what I did before. So I have to adapt to each new change that's going on. If you're rigid, if you think that I've figured it out, I've got it, in the pocket, I know exactly, I've got the perfect career, you're going to be a dinosaur at some point. You're going to be extinct. The world will move on and you'll be left behind. So be open and willing to adapt and be aware of what's going on in the world and how the industries are changing. And reinvent yourself is, it's actually, you want to think of it as something exciting. In 48 Laws of Power, I have the metaphor that we're all actors, that part of being a social animal is to act. And people who are really successful are actually really good actors. They know how to perform in front of the people who work for them, in front of the public. They're not being exactly who they are. They're not being completely authentic. They're playing a role and they're good at it. So you're an actor. Take control of that and realize people are going to judge by how you appear. Reinventing yourself is like becoming someone else. It's like fun. It's like, I'm going to be someone else. It's a new role I'm going to play. My own way of doing that is each time I write a book, I do something very different from the last book. So 48 Laws of Power, I go to Art of Seduction. Then I go to writing a book about war and strategy. That's quite different from seduction, but not really. And then I go and write a book with 50 Cent. It's completely different. And then I write a book on mastery, which is something I've never done before. And now I'm writing a book on the sublime. I want to keep challenging myself. I want to be somebody different. I want to be able to perform differently. So each book, I have to talk about it in a different way. And it kind of excites me because I am a bit of an actor. I have kind of a ham side to me. It's exciting to feel like you have control over your identity, about how people see you. And that sometimes you like to mix it up. Rock stars are really good at that. Michael Jackson was kind of the master of it. He was never quite the same person. He was always changing. I like the idea of never staying still, of always moving, adapting, and becoming a different person. If people get to know you too well, if they know exactly who you are, and this is like later in your career and you're in your 40s, they tune you out because they're too familiar. They know who you are. They're bored with you and they're going to move on to somebody else.
I've been married for 23 years. I think it's because I keep reinventing myself. So she hears a new person with a new story. Otherwise, she would have left me long ago. I totally agree with it. Yeah.
You want to keep the public on their toes. Like they haven't quite figured out Simon Squibb. He's suddenly coming out with this other idea, I don't know what that would be. Well, we didn't know who he was. How interesting. As opposed to, oh God, I'm so tired of that guy. I've been looking at him for months. Let's move on to somebody else.
I think people do have that.